Of course, Chloe. Your story is already so gripping, vivid, and raw. I can absolutely help rewrite the continuation you asked for, keeping the emotional weight intact while sharpening it a bit for clarity, strength, and pacing. Here's the rewritten continuation from where you left off. Judelle blinked, caught off guard, her fork pausing halfway to her mouth. I was just teasing, she said lightly, the smile on her face freezing into something brittle. No, you weren't, Riley replied, his tone still calm but firmer now. You were undermining her. Again. The table fell into a strange, vibrating silence. Even Cairo set his phone down, suddenly very interested in his glass of orange juice. For a moment, I didn't breathe. I just watched. Watched how quickly the cracks started to show when someone, anyone, called them out in real time. Manel recovered first, flashing Riley a too-sweet smile. Wow, sensitive much? It's just how we joke around. Chloe knows that. I set my fork down, slow and deliberate. No, I don't, I said, my voice clearer than I expected. I never thought it was funny. The words hung between us, heavier than the warm spring air. No one rushed to fill the silence this time. Judelle's mouth opened, then closed again. My mother stirred her coffee as if the small, fussy motion could erase the moment. I leaned back in my chair, feeling something unwind in my chest. Not anger, but relief. The kind of peace that comes when you finally stop explaining yourself. I know you think this is just how family works, I said, steady, not raising my voice, not giving them any more fuel. But it's not my family anymore. I'm done letting you call disrespect love. I'm done making myself smaller so you can stay comfortable. Cairo huffed out a laugh, low and dismissive. Oh, come on, Chloe. Don't be so dramatic. I turned to him, my smile razor sharp. No, you don't get to tell me how big my feelings are anymore. The world around me sharpened at the edges, the glitter of sun off the plates, the faint hum of a neighbor's lawnmower. Everything felt too real, too alive to ignore. I hope the brunch is everything you wanted, I said, as I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping audibly against the deck. But you'll be having it without me. No one moved to stop me, not even my mother. As I stood, Riley stood too, without hesitation. He didn't say anything, didn't ask if I was sure. He just picked up his jacket and followed. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't leaving a room feeling like I had failed. I was leaving because I had finally won. Outside, the sky was a clear, endless blue, stretching open above the city like a promise. I walked toward it without looking back. This time, I didn't have to. Excuse me? You heard me? Riley said. You invited her here just to say that. 17:11. A silence fell over the table like a dropped curtain. Cairo looked up, coughed once, then quickly glanced away. Minel 17:18 froze mid-sip, her eyes wide behind her sunglasses. Even Grant paused his chewing. 17:24. I looked at Riley, and he didn't. Look away from Judelle. He just held her gaze. Firm, steady, unapologetic. That meant more 17:32 than he probably realized. I folded my napkin slowly and set it beside my plate. 17:38. You know what's wild? I said, my voice level. How reliable this family is always 17:43. Ready to turn a joke into a weapon, but never ready to sit with the truth. No one said a word. You don't have to like me, I 17:51 went on. You don't have to respect what I've done, but what you're not going to do is insult me. Dress it up in laughter 17:58 and call it love. Manel opened her mouth as if to say something, then thought better of it and shut it again. 18:04. Even she knew better this time. I let my eyes move across the table. One face at a 18:10 time. I'm not the version of me you still think you can control, the one who stayed 18:15 quiet, just to keep things easy. If you still believe I'll sit here and swallow this, try me. I pushed my chair back, 18:22. Slowly, Riley stood up too without needing to. Be asked that solidarity hit 1828, hard low in my chest. Judell scoffed. Chloe, don't be so dramatic. I'm not being 1833 dramatic. I said, my voice sharp but calm. I'm being precise, there's a difference. 1839. And then I turned, walking toward the house. With Riley beside me, we didn't speak. We didn't have to. The sky overhead, 1847, was clear. Not a cloud in sight, but inside me, thunder was building slow, 1853, deliberate, unstoppable. The kind of storm that doesn't ask permission before it breaks. They wanted me to break to 19-hour retreat, to fall into the role they'd written for me years ago. What they got instead was someone who finally knew the 1907 script and refused to play the part. What they got was someone who wasn't afraid of the fight. Any more someone who came, excuse me? You heard me, Riley said. You invited her just to say that. A heavy silence dropped over the table, thick as a curtain. Cairo looked up, coughed once, then stared hard at his plate. Minelle froze mid-sip, her sunglasses slipping slightly. Even Grant paused, mid-chew. I glanced at Riley. He didn't look away from Judell, just held her gaze, firm, steady, unapologetic. That meant more than he probably realized. I folded my napkin carefully, setting it beside my plate. You know what's wild? I said, keeping my voice level. How reliable this family is. Always ready to turn a joke into a weapon, but never ready to sit with the truth. No one said a word. You don't have to like me, I continued. You don't have to respect what I've done, but what you won't do is insult me, dress it up as laughter, and call it love. Minelle opened her mouth, thought better of it, and shut it again. I let my eyes sweep across the table, one face at a time. I'm not the version of me you think you still control. The one who stayed quiet to keep the peace. If you believe I'll sit here and swallow this, try me. I pushed my chair back slowly. Riley stood too, without needing a signal. The solidarity hit me low in the chest. Judell scoffed. Chloe, don't be so dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, I said, voice sharp but calm. I'm being precise. There's a difference. We walked toward the house. No words between us, none needed. Overhead, the sky was cloudless. Inside me, the storm gathered. Slow, deliberate, unstoppable. They wanted me to break, to retreat into the role they'd written for me years ago. Instead, they met someone who knew the script and refused the part. Back at the hotel, I dropped my phone onto the nightstand, sat in front of my laptop. Something gnawed at me. Not their words, those were predictable by now, but the ease with which they'd delivered them. I scrolled back through old emails, found the thread from last summer. Subject, Mom, some budgeting notes for your refinance. Spreadsheets, strategy PDFs, customized projections I'd built to illustrate compound interest, tools she said thank you for and never mentioned again. Curious now, I opened property transaction records. Minelle had purchased a vacation home in October, a dream she posted about weekly. The down payment and mortgage terms? Almost a carbon copy of the models I'd laid out privately, a month after my email. Heart steady but cold, I sat back. So that's what this was, a family who smiled at your sacrifice, then called it manifesting when they copied your math. By early evening, we were gathered again at my parents' house. Leftover brunch and let's move on smiles. I waited until plates had been passed. Silence fell naturally. Quick thought, I said lightly. Isn't it funny how my company's growth lined up perfectly with a certain beach house purchase? Minelle blinked. What? I tilted my head. No. The one with the down payment that looked awfully similar to the structure I laid out in Mom's budget doc? Cairo glanced between us. Judell exhaled sharply through her nose. We're a family, Chloe, she said. Families share things. No, I said, turning to her. You collect things. You use them when it's convenient, and call it concern. Minelle shifted in her seat. I didn't ask her to. But you used it, I said, gentle but firm, no denial, just her. Tightening. I looked at Judelle. Let me be clear. I no longer give permission for any of my financial or professional information to be shared, verbally, digitally, indirectly. If it happens again, I'll treat it as a breach, and I'll respond accordingly. Judelle laughed, brittle. That's a bit extreme. It's not extreme, I said. It's overdue. Cairo dropped his fork. So now you're threatening legal stuff over dinner? Not threatening, I said, meeting his eyes. Promising. Silence thickened. Later, back at the hotel, standing on the balcony, Riley asked, You sure you're okay? No, I said. But for the first time, I'm not scared either. I created a calendar event. Begin cutoff. They could think I was just emotional. Let them. While they played the same game, I had started building a different one. Strategy, proof, structure. Not defense. Offense. The next morning, at a cafe near the hotel, the notification hit. Unauthorized login attempt. Shared folder access denied. Location: Boise, Idaho. My heart stayed steady. I called my assistant, Jess. Within 20 minutes, she had the answer. It was Cairo, she said. He used the link your mom forwarded. He tried to access the budget projections. Log everything, I said. I'll take it from here. That night, dinner at Minnell's. She had candles lit, jazz playing, ambiance like perfume to cover up rot. Halfway through dinner, I placed a small envelope on the table. No one touched it, so I opened it for them, laying out the pages, access logs, forward trails, IP addresses, device IDs. This one's from Cairo's laptop, I said, tapping a page. This is the forwarded link Mom sent. Here's Minnell accessing. It last Wednesday. Minnell's face went pale. Cairo shifted, grabbed for his glass. Judelle tried. Now, Chloe, let's not make this a... This isn't a courtroom, I cut in. This is me showing my work. They weren't shocked by the facts. They were shocked I dared say them out loud. You used my work, my trust, without consent, then sat across from me and asked if I was okay. Minnell snapped. Why do you always make everything about betrayal? It's family. Family doesn't mean immunity, I said. Cairo muttered, It was just information. Exactly, I said. Mine. I stood, pulled out my phone, typed quickly. Subject: Go live. Move up release. Forbes first. I didn't need their permission anymore. Back at the hotel, I opened my laptop, clicked the embargoed link Jess had prepped, and watched the article. Go live. The silent investor who funded her family and walked away. My name was there. The proof was there. Blurred names, real data. They had demanded my silence. They got the spotlight instead. And I hadn't even started speaking yet. The next morning, buzzing phone, texts, DMs, screenshots, Minnell's Instagram, crying photo, childhood memories. Caption: Some people burn the house down instead of facing the truth. The comments rolled in: pity, support, blame, and then, Didn't she fund your business, though? No reply. Across the room, Riley looked up. Is it bad? It's expected, I said, and it's about to get clarified. I opened Twitter, drafted carefully, @Chloe Harper, original contract for parents' retirement, screenshots of mentorship fund, distributions. A DM from Minnell, 6 months ago. Hey, if I send you my tax info, can you cover the deposit? Quietly? Caption: Not everyone cries. Some of us build. Some of us protect. Quietly until quiet stops working. I hit post. Within 20 minutes, it caught fire. A tech founder reposted, Not every black sheep is lost. Some are just done with wolves in sweaters. A podcaster quoted, Some burn. Bridges. Others light the way. And I sat back, not at peace, not yet, but no longer afraid. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I was flipping the whole damn board. Of course. Here's a rewritten, polished version of your story while keeping all the emotional intensity, clarity, and strong narrative arc you created. Just sharpening, flow, tightening sentences, and enhancing the emotional beats without losing your voice. People who weaponize vulnerability are still weaponizing. Minal posted a story, red-rimmed eyes, a soft, practiced tone. "I never meant to hurt Chloe," she said. "She's always been so intense. But this article, these tweets, it feels like revenge. I don't know what I did to deserve that." I watched the video twice. The first time with sound, the second time without. Just her expressions, the rehearsed pauses. I didn't comment. I didn't share. I didn't need to. Cairo tried damage. Control 2, posting some cryptic nonsense. "Family isn't perfect. That doesn't mean it belongs in the headlines. He got ratioed so hard someone made a meme out of it." When your family screws up and blames the sun for shining on it. Judelle stayed silent. That was always her tell. Later that night, Riley and I sat on the balcony, the city buzzing below, unaware it was hosting the quietest war I'd ever fought. "You could have dragged them years ago," he said. "Why now?" I thought about it, because now I didn't need their apology. I just needed them to stop pretending I was ever the villain. He nodded. No pity, no judgment. I wasn't angry they tried to smear me. I was angry they thought no one would believe me. But they underestimated something. I didn't cry. I posted. They came to play PR games. I brought evidence. But this next part, this was for closure. 2 days later, I sat tucked into the corner of a cafe, 7th and Alder. Warm wood, quiet music, the kind of place designed for anonymity. I ordered a black coffee, barely touched it. Riley stepped outside to take a call. I stayed, scrolling. My phone just to pass time, or so I told myself. Then I saw it. Manel's face, perfectly lit against a pastel backdrop screaming healing vibes. I knew the look. I knew the game. The caption was worse than I imagined. When family chooses spectacle over resolution, the real pain gets lost. She was on some podcast, the kind that commodifies curated vulnerability. Manel spoke in that soft, deliberate tone. I felt so emotionally overwhelmed, years of exhaustion trying to fix disconnection I didn't cause. Her hands clasped, like she was holding invisible pain. Then came the kicker. "I just wish Chloe would have let us love her better." Not loud, not angry, just hollow, practiced, not sincere. I stopped the video halfway through, not because it hurt. It didn't. Not anymore. I stopped expecting truth from people who preferred a prettier lie. I opened my laptop. No dramatics, no hashtags, just clarity. Simple, clean, honest. I typed, "There comes a point when silence isn't grace, it's permission." For years, I gave, funded, forgave, and in return, I was misrepresented and sold as difficult. So here are the facts, screenshots, links. I didn't go public to hurt anyone. I went public because they wouldn't stop hurting me privately. Sometimes the only way to be heard is to walk away without a word. This will be my last public comment. The rest belongs to peace. I hit post, closed the laptop, and waited. Not for them, just for me. Later, Riley slid into the booth across from me, studying my face. A few hours later, back at the hotel, he handed me his phone. A long, rambling message from Judelle. "We're still your family. You misunderstood everything. You always take things too far. We love you, Chloe. I hope one day you'll come home." I read it, emotionless, not numb, just clear. "That's not an apology," Riley said. "I know," I answered. "I'm done explaining myself to people who never listen." That silence between us, it felt safer than any family reunion I'd ever survived. That evening, I booked a one-way ticket back to Seattle. No announcement, no explanation. Before I closed my laptop, I made one quiet change to the mentorship fund. A new grant, Rebuild, for survivors of family gaslighting and emotional neglect. No press release, no story, just a quiet act of rebellion, of rebuilding. The next morning, a message landed in the fund's inbox. I read your post. I left my mother's house last night. Thank you for reminding me I wasn't crazy. I didn't reply. I just saved it to a folder called Quietly Healing. And then, for the first time in years, I smiled. A real smile. Not the kind I wore for survival. Not the one they were comfortable with. A whole smile. Mine. 2 weeks passed. Seattle's rain returned like a metronome. My apartment smelled like lemon cleaner and fresh coffee. Life. Steady, ordinary, beautiful. I hadn't heard from Boise since. No calls, no posts, but silence doesn't mean stillness. Manel disappeared from 2 brand campaigns. One podcast host parted ways with her, citing ethical misalignment. She deleted 3 posts. Cairo's keynote was quietly replaced. Judelle, well, even mutual friends stopped tagging her. I wasn't keeping score. I just noticed. But the biggest change? It wasn't out there. It was inside me. The morning of my keynote at a Women in Tech event, Riley asked if I wanted to rehearse. I shook my head. I know exactly what I need to say. I took the stage without fumbling. I didn't perform. I didn't try to be perfect. I told the truth. I used to think being the black sheep meant I had to fight to be included. But sometimes the black sheep just saw the wolf first. Gasps. Nods. Tears in the crowd. You don't need to be believed to be valid. You don't need to be loved to be worthy. And you definitely don't need to explain your boundaries to people committed to crossing them. The applause wasn't thunderous. It was real. Later that night at home, I opened an old drawer. The birthday invitation. The torn and reprinted version. The folded Forbes article. And now, a photo of me, standing strong on that stage. I saved them. Not for nostalgia, for truth. A few hours later, another email arrived. Your story gave me the push I needed. I walked out of my dad's house today. Thank you. I smiled. Typed back. You're welcome. Heal loudly. No signature, no need. I grabbed my coat, stepped outside, into the crisp air, sunlight cutting through silver clouds. No big plans. No dramatic exit. Just me. Finally. Light enough to carry only myself. Maybe they still tell their version of me. Maybe they always will. I'm not listening anymore. Before we end, let me leave you with this. You don't need an apology to heal. You don't have to fix the version of you they never bothered to see. You just need the courage to walk away from what breaks you, even when it's wrapped in family ties and Sunday dinners. It's not easy, but it is possible. And once you choose peace over proving a point, everything changes. If you've ever had to choose yourself over the people who claimed they loved you, tell me, what would you say to the version of you that stayed silent for too long? Drop a 1 in the comments if this hit home, or just tell me where you're watching from. If it didn't vibe, that's okay too. Let's have a real conversation. And hey, if this story meant something to you, subscribe for more. Real stories, real heart, real healing. Until next time, take care of your peace. It matters more than they ever taught you.